Alright, this is my favorite one though.
What's up, guys? This is Antonio Clown, and you are listening to the GoingFor2.com's Armchair Fantasy Show.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on GoingFor2.com, Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join Going for Two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, GoingFor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 115 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Antonio Clown tonight. We come at you live every Tuesday and Friday night. Tonight's a special night. We're doing a Saturday show. We're live on Periscope, Facebook Live, and YouTube, and of course syndicated on all your major podcast networks and the Going2 app. I'm here with the full crew tonight. So up first, we've got Mr. Garner Minshew. Jason, how you doing tonight, man?
What up, man? You got to represent, number 15. Garner Minshew for life.
Good stuff. Also joining us tonight is Mr. Sam Darnold, out here seeing ghosts. What's up, Sam?
Hold on.
Seeing ghosts.
You hear that?
Yeah.
I am the ghost that haunted Sam Darnold. I'm doing good, man. Fucking hot on this mask. I want to take it off. So, yeah, introduce Jake already.
Yeah, I'm definitely not keeping this clown mask on. Unfortunately, I'm sure they can see that. They can basically see through my head because of this green in the clown mask is kind of showing through. Also joining us tonight, special guest Jake from State Farm. Jake, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. I'm rocking here with my khakis. I got to have my khakis on. Ready to go.
He sounds hideous. Is that the line in the commercial?
Yeah. Well, he's a guy, so.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. We threw this together really quick. I know it's late.
You're right. That green screen hair is something else.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like you can see right through my head. There was one night I wore my DraftKings shirt. And DraftKings is written in green, and literally it looked like you could see right through my chest, but it spelled DraftKings. It was crazy looking. I got to remember not to wear green very often, otherwise this green screen messes everything up.
It's going to give people nightmares. You look like the dude from Twisted Metal.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, this is like a last-minute run to Walmart. It's across the street from my job, and literally $4 I paid for this, so I was like, all right, this is what we're going to roll with tonight.
There we go.
All right, guys, so we got a lot of shit to get to. I know it's late. I'm glad everybody joined us. Looks like we got 22 people here already, so that's good. And we just got started, and I haven't shared it on Twitter yet, so good stuff. Should be a great show. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to go with the quarterbacks, kicking off the top tier with Mr. Jake from State Farm. Man, what you got for me?
Right from the top, man, it's hard for me not to say Russell Wilson. I mean, he gets the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know he's expensive, especially on DraftKings. But I think he's somebody you definitely want to consider this week. I don't think this is going to be a week he's going to be able to get away with just throwing the ball 20 times. So I definitely like him with the stack option as well. But I'm going to go right to the top there and say I really like Russell Wilson. Yeah,
I'm with you on that one too. I like Russell Wilson as well. It's very hard to fit him in this week, I think. I tried building some lineups, today at work. And you got to really punt some players in order to get to him. But, yeah, I definitely like Wilson. I think he's going to be one of the highest-owned quarterbacks on the slate. All right, let's go to Sam Darnold, who now looks like Gerson. What you got for your top-tier quarterback?
I got Sam Darnold. No, I'm just kidding. I got Sam Darnold. My top-tier quarterback in the top salary right now, it's going to come to a shocker to everybody, but Aaron Rodgers, facing the LA Chargers, had a very good matchup in DVOA. Seventh best matchup, actually. I thought the Chargers were much better than that, but I guess they really regressed this year with all the injuries and whatnot. 6,900 though, you're paying a pretty good penny. And if Devontae Adams comes back, you're gonna have to wait till game time decision, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So if he comes back and plays, then that's only gonna help his value. 6,900. I mean, this guy, I can't even believe I'm complimenting him. Back-to-back 30-plus point games. seems like maybe LaFleur kind of realized, hey, yeah, we got a guy in Roger. He can throw the ball, But I think I'm going to go on him. He right now projected only for 7% ownership, so I think that's a little bit more contrarian. I'm going to play Roger as one of my a pivot from Russell Wilson's salary. I mean, I love the Wilson call, though. I mean, I'm going to have a lot of Wilson.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's go over to Gardner Minshew. Jason, what you got for your cash game quarterbacks?
For my cash game quarterbacks, I'm looking at Derek Carr for 5,500. I like him. He has a team projected total of 27 points. And I also like the fact that the Lions are struggling right now. They're struggling defensively. They lost their safety a few weeks ago to a trade. Darius Slay, I think he's probable. I think he might play, but we have to keep tabs on that. But even then, regardless, I don't feel like Darius Slay is like he's not like he's one of the top corners, but he's not elite. He's not going to shut everyone down. But either way, regardless, the Lions don't have a pass rush, and they struggle to get pass rush. So this is a matchup where I can see that Derek Carr will stand back there and he'll have time to throw the ball. At 5,500, I like that cash game. He's at home, and I like that too as well. So he's going to be my cash game quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I've messed around with a bunch of different lineups today, and I think the one that I came across that I like the most is the ones that I put with Derek Carr in there. So I'm with you in that for sure. The only one that we haven't talked about yet that I like as well as the guy on the other side of that game is Mr. Matthew Stafford. I think last I checked him, this is an over-under of like 50.5. Is that right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so
51.5.
51.5 now. So it's going to be a very high-scoring game. It's going to go back and forth. We know the Raiders can't stop the pass either, so Detroit Lions can't run the ball. They, I think Trey Carson got put on IR today, actually, so he's actually done for the season. So now it's going to be all Ty Johnson. He's done a great, running back. He's more of a receiving back, so I think that the Lions aren't going to be able to run the ball. They're going to pass a ton. So a good stack, would be like Matthew Stafford and Kenny Galladay in those guys. So Stafford is my top tier quarterback for this week.
Hey, can I make one quick note since you mentioned it? Some of the slate. A lot of the better games are stacked in the afternoon, and this is one of those slates. The three highest projected over-unders on the week are all in the afternoon games: the Bucs and Seahawks, the Lions and Raiders, and the Packers and Chargers. So if you're one of those people who are perfectly fine with watching everybody else move up, knowing that you have those hammers coming on later on, don't be afraid to stack the late games, man. That's where all the action is going to be this week.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's going to be a lot of strategies this week is going to be stacking those late games. There is the contrarian view where you could stack the early games, but that's a little risky because you got those low totals. But if you're like Gerson, you play 150 lineups, there's some stacks you can have in the early games as well and be contrarian for sure. But those late games are definitely kind of juicy looking right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, though. Please, guys, don't be that guy, though, that says, oh, well, I have no players later on tonight, and I kind of want to watch the later game. So, yeah, I'm going to whatever. I'll just put the Derek Carr player in the late game. Yeah, I'll put him in there, The roster got to make sense,
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I always say that, especially in NBA, too. I always say, don't make decisions based on when they play. Like, if you do a lineup and it's the best lineup you can build and they're all early game players, then, roll with it. Don't base your lineup on having late games or early game players. So, agreed. All right, Tim, kick off our mid-tier quarterbacks, man. What you got for our mid-tier?
Yeah, Scott in the chat had this one as well, and that's going to be Jameis Winston. He's a guy that sometimes it's tough to watch him play. They always say he's the type of guy that if you roster him, you want to just walk away and come back at the end because he always puts up points. He's going to be in a situation, as I just mentioned, where they're going to score a ton of points this week against Seattle. I think it's a very good wide receiver matchup, so he's going to have to throw a lot. And he's only 6,100. I think he's somebody that you can stack with very easily because he has a pretty narrow target tree. And, he's right there in the mid-range where I think you're going to be wanting to target. Like Jason mentioned, Derek Carr is a cheaper option. There's another guy I like as well. If you want to pay down, I completely understand. But I think if you're looking for somebody in the mid-range, my favorite guy this week is Jameis Winston. Yeah, I love Jameis. I love to hate Jameis at least. I was hyping him up for a couple years now. I've kind of fallen off on the season-long ownership of Jameis Winston, but
he's one of those guys that goes out and has like 3 turnovers and still gets 30 points. It's crazy because he throws the ball so goddamn much. So Jameis Winston is definitely a good play in the mid-tier. Gerson, let's go to you. What you got for your mid-tier quarterback?
Well, breaking news. Since we're doing a podcast on Saturday, we now get a little bit of news. Ian Rappaport reported that the Packers head into Sunday with optimism that star wide receiver Devontae Adams can return to the field. Sources said that likely put him through a workout to test it, but they are planning as if Adam will be back for the first time since September 26th.
Nice.
So that will help out Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
I love all those calls you guys made. There's only one more quarterback I have, and this is lingering on the news that I got early on, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think Patrick Mahomes playing tomorrow. I don't care what Ed Wood said.
Right.
I just don't think they're that desperate, you know? They can win that division even without this win. You know, I mean, Raiders aren't going to get up there. Broncos suck, and the Chargers, apparently, they're not good anymore either. I think they can take care of that division without Mahomes for one more week. And against Minnesota, Matt Moore, 4,800. I think he's at 1% ownership right now, but obviously that's probably going to stay down there regardless because nobody wants to play Matt Moore. But he's gotten the job done the last week. So he had 267 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that Green Bay secondary is actually not that bad this year. I think they've fallen off a little bit since the beginning of the start of the year. Don't get mad at me, Tim. But
he's playing the Vikings.
Yeah, no, I meant last week when he played Green Bay.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, I agree.
But playing the Vikings, Xavier Rhodes and that secondary isn't as great as they used to be, I guess you can say. I really think Matt Moore at 4,800 allows you to do a lot, especially on a slate like this where you're really looking for salary relief at the quarterback or probably the tight end, but there's not a lot of salary relief. There's only one big giant guy. Let's be honest here. Before this guy came, we all know who we're talking about, became a value. This slate looked like the ugliest slate you were ever going to play. I was like, whoa. But, yeah, I don't mind Matt Moore, but that's just being contrarian. I'm a GPP player, so you guys know I like to pick quarterbacks, and I can stack him with Tyreek, Kelsey, or even, I don't know about Mecole Hardman after the last couple of weeks. But, yeah.
Yep, I agree. I think I like that play as well. And the only other guy I want to mention, and he's a borderline sick call, but because of the matchup, I think he kind of gets a little bit of a boost, and that's Sam Darnold. You know, playing against Miami, I think if we put Tim out there with his flag football skills against Miami, he might put up about 25 points. So Sam Darnold, hopefully he's not seeing ghosts in Miami and actually can put some points up. You know, he's got some weapons there. He's got, of course, Le'Veon Bell, who I don't know if y'all heard, but he actually went to his coach and had a sit down with Adam Gase because he was pissed off that he only got 12 touches last week. So Le'Veon Bell might get some touches from out of the backfield, and then you got Robbie Anderson there that can always break the big one. So I think Darnold going up against that Miami defense is a decent under-owned kind of play this week.
Can I mention one guy? And I'm not saying I'm going to play him because I'm not. But if you have balls or whatnot, you can go ahead and play him. Mitch Trubisky has a matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. We know we've been targeting the Eagles defense secondary every week, but I mean, people mention it. I don't say I hate it, but I don't love it. Hell, I don't even like it. Would I be surprised if Mitch Trubisky goes out there and throws? You remember last year when he had like a 6-touchdown game against a tough matchup or something like that?
Yep.
I can't remember, but
he was against Tampa Bay. Oh no, it wasn't a tough matchup. He played against Tampa Bay. He got 6 touchdowns against them.
Yeah, but he was terrible up until that point.
Same situation, right? He's not being talked about a lot. He's not being highly owned, and he is a great matchup. So are we gonna not? We're gonna ignore it, but we're gonna hate ourselves come around 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I actually had him on my values there, Gerson. Way to steal my thunder, but yeah, I agree. I think Trubisky's a risky play, but I think with that matchup against the Eagles, their secondary is terrible. But they got a great run defense. So David Montgomery is not going to find any room to run. I think there was a game, it wasn't last game, maybe the game before that, Trubisky threw like 54 passes or something crazy like that. If he does that against his Eagles defense, he will get some points put up. And I think something that we're missing from last year from Trubisky that I hope that we see this game is his legs. Like, he has not been running. I think that gives him a higher floor if he can run. And the Eagles do get some good pressure on the quarterback, so maybe he'll take off a few times and give us some of that some of that floor we look for with Trubisky. But if he's not running, he's not scoring fantasy points. But I think against this Eagles defense, if he's passing the ball 40, 50 times, he's going to get points regardless. And he's got some good weapons too. I think Anthony Miller's a good stack with him. Also, Allen Robinson is another good stack. So Trubisky's definitely in play for me, but more GPP play than anything else.
My bad, dog.
You're good, man. You're good. It was a quick thrown together show, man. We didn't have time to really prep for this, so it's kind of thrown together, but I think it's coming all right.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our tight ends now. Jason,
hey, before we move on, I did have one more guy.
Oh, go ahead.
And that's going to be Phillip Rivers. I know we're talking about a lot of cheap guys here. As Gerson alluded, there is some additional value that may have made things a little bit easier to fit in the guys you want. Jason mentioned Derek Carr, and I definitely like that as a salary relief play. But I also like Phillip Rivers. As Gerson mentioned earlier, if you watched the game last week, Matt Moore was able to expose this Packers defense with running backs coming out of the backfield and then quick screens. And I think that Phillip Rivers and the Chargers are going to employ a similar game plan. If you look purely just at passing DVOA, it'll tell you, okay, maybe this isn't the greatest matchup, but I think that this could end up being like an Austin Eckler game or something like that. So at 5,100, I think he's maybe borderline underpriced because he's somebody who's going to consistently give you 18 to 20 fantasy points. So if you have Carr or, trying to fit in one last guy, you need a couple $100. I think Trubisky is a good play, but I also really like Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, good call. Good call on both of those. I definitely agree. All right, let's go ahead and kick off tight end, and we're going to do a little different this time. Let's kick it off with Jason with the cash tight end, because I think this week is very interesting with the tight ends. You're either going to pay up for that top guy, or you're going to pay all the way down at tight end. What you got for your cash game tight end, Jason?
Well, we all know with the tight end position, it's one of the most randomness, the most random position, right? So we can either go with chalk of Darren Waller at 22%, or what I like to do and what I'm going to do this week, and I will be honest with you guys, this week cash games is really tough. It's probably one of the hardest weeks I would say the hardest one this year so far. And so what I'm going to do at tight end, I'm going to save the salary. I'm going to go all the way down. You got to keep an eye on the news, though. This is more of a, I don't know, I guess you could say contrarian, but I'm talking about Jack Doyle at 3,000.
Yeah.
Because Eric Ebron is out, which I believe he will be. He hasn't really practiced all week. He's been limited, and we're looking at him being out more likely. So I like Jack Doyle.
He was taken off the injury list.
Yeah, he was lifted off the injury report, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, Ebron's going to play.
Oh, is he going to play now? Okay, well, that's fine with me because regardless, you're still looking no T.Y. Hilton there, so who the hell are they going to throw the ball to?
Yep.
I like him at 3K. He's really cheap, but if not, I wouldn't mind going up to Greg Olsen at 3,500. If we know one thing for sure, is we know that the Tennessee Titans are bottom 5 at DVOA against tight ends. They really suck. And if it wasn't for last week, I believe Cameron Brate almost had a touchdown, and Tanner Hudson, he had one, but he dropped it.
Yep.
So I mean, these guys, they get targets in the red zone, and that's the Tennessee Titans' biggest weakness on their defense. And they have a good defense, but when it comes to tight ends, they don't really do that well. So I'm paying down. I don't want to pay up in cash games. Main reason is because we don't have a lot of value, and I want to pay up elsewhere where I know I'm going to get for sure volume and usage.
Yep, agreed, 100%. And I still like Doyle even with Ebron there. He still gets more snaps than Ebron. Ebron gets the red zone targets, which really sucks, and you want to have those red zone targets. But Doyle still gets used quite a bit, and he's way cheaper. So I think that Doyle is still in play. Not quite as good. If Ebron was out, it would have been a smash play. But I still like Doyle there. So good call. All right, Tim, let's go to you. Yeah, I know. You said that. I was like, oh shit, let me go check because I was like making sure that he was out, and I was like, oh damn, he's not out. All right, Tim, let's go to you, man. What you got for your top tier tight end for this week?
Yeah, I think he's right. The only guy I think is worth paying up for is going to be Darren Waller, but I think I'm going to be mainly.
You guys are ruining it for me.
Oh, there it is.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. I think if you're paying up, he's really the only guy you can pay up for. But I agree with Jason. I think the way that cash game builds and a lot of tournament builds work out this week, you're probably going to be paying down at tight end. So I like the Doyle call. I think that's good. I really like Jonnu on the cheaper end. And even though he screwed screwed me last week. I like Cameron Brate, assuming he plays.
Hey, John, who came through last week, though. What up?
Yeah, Johnny was a good call. That pivot, that $100, pretty much kept me from making some decent money last week.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You guys have no idea. I was like, Jonnu Smith touchdown. Here we go. It's gonna be a good day. And then nothing.
And then nothing after that. Hey, but he still got the touchdown though. That still counts for something.
Yeah.
Now there is one guy I wanted to bring up, and it's really deep here. We kind of talked about everybody that I was going to mention, but the Bucks. If Cameron Brate is out and OJ Howard's already been ruled out, Tanner Hudson. He was a preseason superstar. I don't know if it's going to translate to the regular season, but I mean this guy was doing 8 for 105. In the preseason, granted, but still, if he's the only tight end on the field. They can't throw every single pass to Godwin and Evans. They got to throw to somebody else eventually. So he would be a super low. He'd be a super low owned kind of guy just for a straight flyer there.
Him as a GPP, guys. GPP, not cash game.
Yes, GPP, definitely. Do not put him in a cash game. And don't play a lot of them either. Maybe 0.5% if you're going to play GPP. But I want to just throw him out there because he will be the only tight end that they have on the field if he does play. All right,
it's really too bad the Seahawks don't feature a tight end. Because this is the best matchup on the board this week.
Yep.
Is Seahawks against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And then second to that is the Lions at Oakland. But who really can trust TJ dropping? You know what I mean? It's so bad.
Randy will.
Randy will? Okay, well, good luck, Randy, on that, man.
He's
going to win all the money.
Every day he was saying, guys, TJ Hawkinson, he's going to go off.
Gerson,
I never even heard of a Tanner Hudson. I thought you guys I was like, who the hell is this? And then I went and looked him up. I'm like, okay. So I went and looked at my projection. I'm like, he has 0 points. Okay, I can't even. All right. And then I see 0 ownership.
Yeah, he just got promoted from the practice squad, which makes me think that Brate might not play.
Right.
Okay, then yeah. I mean, usually Brate's not gonna play. I'm telling you guys right now, if you get injuries or anything, if a player gets promoted, or if they say he's doubtful, or if they say that there's so many ways that you can tell players are going to be in or out. I'm pretty sure last week I nailed all my 4 calls where I said all the players that were questionable or injury report, like Kamara, who else was it? Ryan, Chase Edmond, or was it? So I nailed all of them because we've done this for so long, but I'll be honest, I love all you guys' tight end calls. The only one I don't think you guys mentioned was Zach Ertz. I like Zach Ertz a lot this week, 4,700, really cheap. I think he should be talked about in this matchup. I think a lot of people are kind of pivoting to Goddard, whatever you want to call him nowadays.
I call him Joe Dirt.
Oh, I love that, Joe Dirt. But yeah, Zach Ertz, I think this can be a really good matchup for him. I see a lot of people probably being recency biased, saying, what are you laughing at, Tim? What'd I do?
Nothing. I'm laughing at Randy in the chat. Go ahead.
Okay. He's probably saying, TJ Hawkinson.
He is. I put it up on screen.
What he's saying.
I put it up on screen so everybody can see it.
Were you done, or were you just... I know you were going off of TJ Hawkinson, and then you were going to go to another player. Who were you going to go to?
No, I think that was it.
That was it? Okay, I thought you were going to go to someone else.
Yeah.
Gee, Jason, I'm not that big of a dick. I don't interrupt you. You interrupt me, asshole. Anyways, but yeah, Zach at 4,700. I think he has provided a pretty good leverage score. He had a pretty good leverage score. I mean, by the way, when I say leverage score, guys, it means a combination of ownership, value, and projection. So the higher it is, the better for him. And he's coming out at a pretty good rate right now. I think everybody's going to be on Darren Waller, obviously. We know that. But 6,300, I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't know if I really want to pay 6,300 for Darren Waller.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I mean, yeah, he could be worth it, but on this slate, you really, really want to pay up for running back, wide receivers, and yeah, those 2 positions basically, because that's where the chalk is.
Yep. Agreed, 100%. Just real quick too, again, going back to Tanner Hudson, Kyle Senroff from GoingFor2.com. Actually, he's watching on YouTube. Actually said that Hudson had a red zone target last week. So, there you go right there. He's getting the red zone targets. He only needs to catch 1 touchdown, and then he could be good. But Hudson, again, like I said, 0.5%, if you're going to play him.
He dropped it, too. If I remember correctly, it bounced off his helmet.
Seriously? I didn't see it. I didn't even know he played last week. I thought he got promoted this week. But
I thought it was great in the beginning because, they're both tall and stocky and white. But but anyway, I was like, no, I came with great when it caught.
All right. We'll just chalk it up to his first game ever, his nerves. Maybe he'll be better from here on out. All right, guys. Is there anybody else at tight end you want to mention before we go to a commercial break? Going once, going twice. All right, guys. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. GoingFor2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, guys, welcome back. We just tackled quarterback and tight end. We are now moving on to the running backs, receivers, and the defenses, of course. We'll kick it off here with let's do the receivers first, guys. We'll go to the receivers. And Tim, I know you had something you want to mention that the chat was talking about, so go ahead and talk about that first, and then give us your top tier receivers.
Yeah, so I really like the mid-range of wide receivers if I'm going to be mainly living there. I know that the construction this week, or what most people think the construction is going to be paying down at wide receiver. But I know me and a lot of people got burned last week playing Corey Davis. And so I think that I just can't, stomach taking some of these guys that don't give you a very low floor, a very high floor. So most of the wide receivers I'm going to be playing are going to be in the mid-range. But my favorite, if I'm paying up, my favorite pay-up play this week is going to be Chris Godwin. I'm going to have a lot of Chris Godwin this week. I know it kind of goes off. I know, Geoff, you had the stat that they usually go to Chris Godwin against zone defenses and Mike Evans against man defenses. But I think that he also gets a much better wide receiver cornerback matchup against Jamar Taylor in the slot. So that's where I'm going to go. My goal this week, we'll see if it plays out, is going to be play one high-end wide receiver, one mid-range wide receiver, and then one kind of value wide receiver. And if I can do that and get my build to look the way that I want, that's kind of my ideal build. That way I know that there's at least, at most one spot in the wide receiver that I'm going to be taking a low score.
All right. Love it. They are counting my phrase here. They've got a little running total here on Facebook, so I'm trying to consciously not say my catchphrase. All right, let's go to Gerson. Gerson, who you got for a receiver here?
Wait, what are you talking about, Geoff? What is it?
I'm not going to say it. It's not.
There must be some good stuff done if you don't want to say it. It's just like Tim said. I mean, Godwin to play. Definitely love him. Then of course you go the opposite way. Mike Evans, right? I mean, Mike Evans, everybody's gonna play him. I mean, it's just crazy to think that you could say Godwin's the better receiver out of those two because Mike Evans been dominating for so long. But both of those plays are very good plays. It makes sense, right? I mean, you would think that these two guys are top, right? And then you have these other two guys that we're going to mention right now, like Tyler Lockett, but he's 7,500. If you have, I don't know if I would ever thought of like me playing DFS and Tyler Lockett been like, a wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. You could have told me I was going to play him for 7,500. That's a lot of money, man.
Yep.
7,500. But then when you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how horrible they are covering wide receivers, you could see a 25-point, 30-point game from him. I mean, I can legit see easily at least 100 yards and 6 receptions at least. In this type of game environment, it's going to be a shootout. The other guy that we're looking at right now is on the other side, DK Metcalf. But these are the two guys. I mean, we're talking, these are the groups of guys that everybody, the highest ownership. We have Godwin at 21%. We have Mike Evans at 19.9%. We have Tyler Lockett at 18.8%. Then we have Metcalf at 13.9%.
Yep.
That's what everybody's doing. But pretty sure Geoff, your I don't know if your hair or you're balding or what.
I took off my clown mask, my Antonio clown mask. I couldn't wear it no more.
Okay, all right. I thought you really did need that wig. But anyway, yeah. I mean, those are the 4 guys that are really up there. I'll let you guys talk about the other ones though.
Yeah, the only one that I want to mention at the top is he's almost all the way to the top, and that's Kenny Golladay. I mentioned before about stacking him with possibly Matt Stafford. It's expensive, obviously. He's pretty high up there, but if you can fit Golladay in, I think that we saw last week what he's capable of. It's a great matchup, of course, against Oakland. It's going to be a high-scoring game, like we mentioned earlier, 51.5 points. So this game, if you could fit Golladay in, that would be a great option for you to go with. Jason, let's go to you. What you got for the cash game wide receivers this week?
I'll just add to that. I like Kenny Golladay as well. I like Kenny Golladay. He has a 22% target share. He also has 848 air yards. And now, to me, there's only if you can name another wide receiver aside from Amendola and Marvin Jones, and him, those guys get all the targets, everything. They're not gonna. I mean, they had Ty Johnson last week. I think he only got 2 looks. And I understand that you said Trey Carson is out. But we still got J.D. McKissick there,
yep.
Smooches, and he's still there, and he gets targets out the back. But they're not looking to those guys. They're looking. They're going to pass, and they're going to pass on the Raiders. Raiders are fifth. They're in the bottom 5 DVOA against the pass, and they really suck. I mean, and trust me, I know I'm a Raiders fan. I cry myself to sleep every night.
I know.
So yeah, no, basically it's the truth though. We traded away Garyon Conway a couple weeks ago to Texans, and well, what do you know? He beat us. That's how good we are.
Yeah. And then you get played like it's fucking trick or treat candy. Oh, you want Khalil Mack? Here you go. You want Amari Cooper? Here you go.
Exactly. So this is I like Kenny G. I know he's expensive, 7.7. That's a lot, but I'm telling you. I can't see. I honestly can't see the Lions running the ball. They don't try and run the ball.
Yep.
The coach and the offensive coordinator have changed their persona from running to being a pass-heavy offense now, and it's changed. That line's gotten better and it's playing better. So I like it. And the Raiders don't have a pass rush, so Matthew Stafford's gonna be back there and he's just gonna bomb it. Kenny G's to play for me. I know. I like Chris Godwin. He's great too. But to me, I'm going to go Kenny G in cash games.
All right. Anybody else you got for cash games you want to mention real quick, or it's just Kenny G?
Yeah, I do. Let me look at my sheet real quick. I got so excited about Kenny Golladay.
All right, yeah, I'll go ahead and go if you want. You want to look at your sheet first, and then I can come back to you.
Yeah, just come back to me.
All right, that'll work. So I only had one other top-tier guy, and he's obviously a great receiver with a great matchup, and that's Stephon Diggs. Playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. You really can't beat that. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to play him with some of these other guys that we mentioned. He is 7.6 there, so do you want to pay up the extra $100 and get Kenny Golladay? There's also a guy that I want to pay down for that we're going to mention here in a little bit, but then again, Chris Godwin's cheaper than Stephon Diggs, but he has that big playability, and they're going to be playing in that high-scoring Kansas City game, so it could be a good spot for him as well. All right, let's go to the mid-tier, and then we'll go to Jason for the rest of his cash game receivers. Gerson, we'll go to you first this time. What you got for your mid-tier wide receivers?
For my mid-tier wide receivers, well, we mentioned most of the wide receivers already that I have on my list, but Keenan Allen, he's not in the mid. I guess he's a little bit higher price, right?
He's like 64, I think. He's definitely mid-tier.
I say that's mid-tier.
Yeah, so I mean, Keenan Allen against the Green Bay Packers, he's had some very, very, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rough weeks. But in this game, like Tim said, I mean, we have him with Phillip Rivers. I mean, you're gonna stack it. This is the way you beat the Green Bay Packers through the backfield with the running back, but also those slow short routes on the slot. And Keenan Allen can be lining up right there with Green Bay. I think this is a Keenan Allen game due to the fact that he's great in the slot. We know how great he is, but they move him around a lot. His hamstring wasn't listed finally on the injury report.
Yep.
So I was worried about that. but he finally cleared of that, and I think maybe that might have been a thing that's been affecting him lately. We don't know. I mean, we're not doctors. We're not. Yeah, I wish I was a doctor. I wouldn't be on. I'm kidding. I'd be on here. But yeah, I like Keenan Allen 6,400. I think I'd get him a low ownership, put him in GPP rosters. Would I be shocked if he gets you 20 points? No. Would I be bummed out if he doesn't get me like 15? Yeah, because I expect more from a guy like Keenan Allen. He's usually a wide receiver that's priced like 7,000. He's basically the Tyler Lockett of where Tyler Lockett's supposed to be down here. He's supposed to be up there.
Yep.
But overall, I think I just see so much heavy ownership on those other guys. I like the Stephon Diggs call, Geoff. I think a lot of people really pivoted toward like believing that Kirk Cousins not a good quarterback, but he's actually improved over the last 5 weeks, I guess, right?
Yep.
And I love that Stephon Diggs call. I think it's very contrarian because I believe Diggs on my ownership is coming up at 6%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get him in that game, obviously, if Mahomes plays, I'm telling you guys, this game is gonna go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a shootout. Tim always does this every Sunday, and I'm grateful for it. He always gives us a little inside report of Vegas if it changes the total and whatnot. And if I see even a 1 point or 2 point or 3 point, I'm pretty sure it already has changed because of the whole Mahomes gonna play.
Possible change.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I like that call, but I don't have any other mid-tier wide receiver.
All right, Jason, we'll go back to you. Who else you got for your cash game receivers?
For cash games, I like DK Metcalf.
Yep.
I like DK Metcalf. He's you're playing Tampa Bay here, and if we know one thing, Tampa Bay is they're a funnel defense. They can stop the run, but they can't stop the pass. Now, I believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense will be able to keep up with them, so Russell Wilson will have to pass the ball. They can't just run the ball the whole time. And right now, what's his name? DK leads the league in red zone targets. I believe last week he was at 9. I don't know where he's at now, but he leads the league and he's a stud. And I don't know if you guys have seen him, but this guy's freaking huge. So I can't see anybody on Tampa Bay to stop him. And I believe that he's gonna get you. I can guarantee he's gonna get you a touchdown.
Yep. Yeah.
And Randy, if you want to bet on that, Randy, I'll bet you. Put your money where your mouth is, Randy. I'll bet you. But I can see it. I can really see it happening. I like it. Tyler Lockett, he'll be out there, but Tyler Lockett's a little too expensive for me. I don't know. I don't like paying $7,500 for a slot receiver that's like 5'1". So yeah.
just to go kind of add on to DK Metcalf. You mentioned he's number one in the NFL in red zone targets. He's actually number one in the NFL in end zone targets. I believe he has like 9 or 10 end zone targets, which is even more important. I think last week we saw a little bit of a positive regression because he hadn't had too many touchdowns, but he had 2 last week, and he should have had a third one, but he dropped it. So if Wilson's looking for him in the end zone, then definitely he's a play for sure. And if you are, what was that?
DK Metcalf in Dynasty. This guy's gonna be a beast.
Yes, agreed. And Josh Gordon, of course, we know is in Seattle now, but he cannot play this week anyway, so you don't got to worry about Josh Gordon taking any targets this week. So don't worry about that. All right, are we ready to move down into the low tier, to the value tier?
Nah, I prepped it. I wanted to talk about the mid tier, and you're just gonna skip right over me.
Oh, my bad. Jason took so long, I forgot I hadn't gone to you yet.
I think he's a great pivot off Tyler Lockett. I think he's a better play in my opinion. I also think the better play is going to be Marvin Jones over Kenny Golladay. I think that this is a Marvin Jones week. I think that he's the play. He's obviously a good bit cheaper as well. But not only is Kenny Golladay almost never have back-to-back good weeks, but he's also a much better player at home. He's kind of like the T.Y. Hilton effect, you know what I mean?
Yep.
He just doesn't play well outdoors. I don't know what the hell it is, but I think this is a Marvin Jones week. I really do. So the other guy I want to talk about, now we talked about earlier, Darius Slay is projected to play. If for whatever reason he doesn't play, I'm going to be all over Tyrell the Gazelle Williams. he's probably one of my favorite plays in the mid-range. They said he's the new age Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns.
Yeah.
So if Slay plays, I'm a little bit lower on him. I'll probably play Marvin Jones and DK Metcalf. And then the last guy in the mid-range I want to talk about, which I can't believe nobody talked about, is Robbie Anderson.
No, I love Robbie.
With Xavier Howard on IR now, this team has been the team to pick on down the field. We saw Terry McLaurin tear them up. We saw John Brown do really well against them. And that guy this week is going to be Robbie Anderson. I hate to project touchdowns for a guy, but it's really hard for me to not see how he doesn't catch another long touchdown. At 5,500, if he gives me, a one touchdown, 7 for 70, something like that, he's more than paying it off its value. I think that's a realistic score line for Robbie Anderson. So I will have a lot of exposure to him across my lineups this week. So those are probably my 4 favorite guys in the mid-range, and they will be the highest probably exposure guys that I'm going to have outside of Chris Godwin.
Yeah, good stuff there. And sorry, Tim, if it makes you feel any better that I skipped you, I skipped myself as well because I actually forgot that I hadn't given my guys because I had Robbie Anderson and Tyrell the Gazelle on my list as well. The only other guy that I have,
Geoff? Come on.
I know. Hey, man, short prep, man. Usually I'm like, ready to go. I got my stuff all set up, but tonight was just a rush home, jump in front of the mic, and just roll with it. But there's one
night, baby. Saturday night, let's party.
There's one more guy that we hadn't talked about, and it's changed a little bit for me. I've lowered him a little bit in my projections because of the weather, but that's John Brown. Josh Allen targets the hell out of John Brown. I think he had 8 targets last week. It's supposed to be windy in Buffalo, so it could have affected a little bit, but it was windy last week, and he still got 8 targets and had 58 yards in that game. So he's playing Washington, terrible defense. Josh Allen looks for John Brown a lot, so I think that would be a decent low owned because I think everyone's going to be afraid of that weather, that 15-mile-an-hour weather that's going to be out there. So I think John Brown will be a sneaky play there for sure.
Can I mention one guy I didn't mention? I don't even know why. I just barely peeked my eye at my list and don't know why I didn't put him on there. But Allen Robinson against Philadelphia Eagles, 5,800. Could be a pivot from like Mike Evans, all those guys, Chris Godwin, just to be contrarian. But here's my question, guys. If Devontae Adams is active, are you going to play him?
Yeah.
Right, 7,100. Could be a good pivot from Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I love the Robbie Anderson call, Tim. I saw him on your list, so I didn't really want to, all right, well. But, I mean, no Xavier Howard, no... obviously, Talib. I mean, Talib's gonna get a buyout, right? Like he's not gonna stay on that team.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah. But yeah, and the other thing is Deshaun Jackson. If he starts at 5,200,
yeah, tournament play for sure.
I'm gonna up his projection, man. Against in this game. I mean, I think a lot of people over the last couple of weeks. How long has he been out now? 4 weeks now? 5 weeks now?
5 weeks, I believe. Yeah.
Week 2, right? So like 8 weeks. So yeah, I mean, I like Deshaun Jackson. I think you're really playing a lot of players this week that have like those, maybe 4 reception, like Tyler Lockett, Robbie Anderson, maybe Deshaun Jackson. Just this week is really, really hard on wide receivers. I think wide receiver is going to be the position that tells it all. And there's no for sure like a Julio Jones, Michael Thomas. Who else is out there? Can't even name them all. But,
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, But it's just this week is very tough for wide receiver. That's why I think running back, that one value play that really, really helped us a lot. But be smart about who you're going to pick and make sure it makes sense with your roster.
All right, good stuff. All right, we're moving into the value receivers now. And we'll go to you, Tim, this time, so I won't forget you. Give us your value receivers.
All right. My favorite value receiver this week is going to be Mike Williams. I think Jair Alexander is a pretty good cornerback, and I think he's going to be the one that's mainly going to be seeing Keenan Allen. And so Kevin King tends to be the guy that they match up against the taller guys, and he's just so prone to getting absolutely burned. I was watching the game last week. It looks like whenever Phillip Rivers is in trouble, he just kind of throws it up to Mike Williams. He's got a ton of air yards, obviously, and he just hasn't really cashed in for the touchdowns. We saw last week that guy was DK Metcalf. We obviously mentioned him earlier in the show, a guy where everything kind of lined up, and then he ended up getting his 2 touchdowns. And I think that guy this week is going to be Mike Williams. I just think he's the play in that game. I mentioned earlier I really like Phillip Rivers. You match him with Mike Williams, that's a really cheap stack, and then you have a ton of money to spend everywhere else. So, and then one other guy I want to mention, just because there was a bunch of talk in the chat, is going to be DJ Moore. A lot of people are on Curtis Samuel this week. I actually much prefer DJ Moore. I think it works out to be the better matchup here. And he's somebody, I know that Curtis Samuel has all the air yards, but I just think the consistent production has come from DJ Moore. I also think last week we saw that whoever matches up against Malcolm Butler is usually the guy that gets all the points. And I expect that's going to be DJ Moore this week. He lines up primarily on Malcolm Butler's side. As we saw, they play a lot of man defense, and I think he's going to be able to get the better of him. So if I'm looking at another guy in that same price range, it's going to be DJ Moore. So those are probably my two favorite pay down guys.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, just I haven't heard yet. Is Curtis Samuel going to be playing? Because he was questionable there for a little while. He had a hamstring or something. Because if he's out, definitely DJ Moore. But just to go, even if Samuels plays, I just pulled up Moore's stat line here. I mean, he had 9 targets last week. 10 the week before that, 8 before that. So he's getting plenty of targets. It's just going to be a matter of time before he breaks one. We know he's a great run-after-catch kind of guy, so if they can get him the ball that much, he's going to break one eventually. This is definitely a good game that he can probably do that with. So good call on DJ Moore. All right.
He's expected to play.
What was that?
Curtis Samuel is expected to play.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Gerson, let's go to you now. What you got for your value receivers?
Value wide receiver, I don't have one because, just look at the sheet. You'll know why.
Oh. Sorry, I got the sheet pulled up. I'm just looking at my stuff. Looks like all yours are taken.
Yeah, I think this week, like, with the salary relief that you're getting from the value play at the running back, you're really going to use it a lot on your wide receivers because obviously you're not, and this is coming from the guy that's the biggest Darren Waller fan, You're not going to pay up for Darren Waller. I mean, you can, but your roster better look pretty good on the wide receiver and running back spot.
Yep.
But I guess one guy that I can mention is Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry is a pretty good in a good spot against Denver. Chris Harris will probably draw the matchup with Odell Beckham Jr. Jarvis Landry will be opened. His shoulder was limiting him. Limiting him, whatever. The last couple of weeks, but yeah, I think he'll be fine in this game. He'll be okay, and I was one of the biggest fans of Baker Mayfield. Everybody knows it, but it's just that worried me, that line. But at 4,500 for Jarvis Landry, a guy that used to be cheap. A PPR machine.
Yep.
If he can get into this game and get you probably 6 receptions for 80 yards, he's already meeting value. He's exceeding it, That's 6 for 60. That's all he needs. I can see him getting this in this game. And with OBJ getting Harris, it's going to be tough. So I think Landry's up there for me in value. Other than that, you can go look at Preston Williams maybe versus the New York Jets. But I can't tell you the last time I actually played a Jet player on my roster. Actually, I can. What's his name? That asshole that only got that. That got robbed. Kenyon Drake.
Oh, yeah.
Kalen Ballard comes in and gets a touchdown at the goal line. You bastard. But, yeah, Preston Williams. But other than that, I don't see too much out there, man.
I've got 2 guys on my list that I want to mention, and one of them is Dami Amendola. Stafford has suddenly just found some eyes for Dami Amendola. I think he had 8 targets last week, 11 the week before that. He's had 2 near 100-yard games. He had 105 against Minnesota, 95 against the New York Giants. So he's definitely a PPR guy. He's got a very high floor. I want to say last week the first 6 passes that Stafford threw all went to Amendola, and they were all complete. So he definitely looks for Amendola quite a bit. And we've already talked about the point total in this game, so he's definitely a guy to look at. He won't score a touchdown, but he's got that nice high floor and cheap price at $4,700, so I definitely like him. And the other guy I had on my value list, I'm going to leave it for Gerson because he has him as a sick call, I believe, so I'm going to not mention him. But one more guy is Deontay Johnson for the Steelers. I'm trying to pull his price up now. I know he's pretty cheap, but
I think he's 4,500.
4,500, yeah. And if you look at his targets, he had 7 last week for 84 yards. We had a game earlier in the season when Mason Rudolph played where he had 8 targets and 6 targets. The one game there he has 2, he actually didn't have Mason Rudolph. So Rudolph has got a good connection with him. It's a good matchup as well with Indy. I think that Deontay Johnson gets those targets, and at that price point, you can definitely play him in your tournament lineups as well. All right. Jason, is there anybody else you want to mention the low end for cash games for receivers? Anybody you haven't talked about already?
No, you hit Danny Amendola. I mean, he wasn't going to be cash game, but he was going to be GPP. I think on the low end, you can't go too far down. We want players that get targets and get volume. I'm not looking that far down for cash game for the low end, that's for sure. I don't even think I have anybody that low on my list right now. I mean, I had Curtis Samuel, but with him and DJ Moore there, the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like it. But I mean, to me, we're gonna go in the mid range, and there's a lot of good mid range wide receivers. So there's value at running back. That's where I'm gonna go, and that's gonna help me a lot. Also at defense, but I mean, defense is a crapshoot like always. So yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get into those running backs now. And I think that some of these guys are pretty obvious plays, but we're going to go ahead and mention them anyway. Gerson, we'll go to you first. Give us your top tier plays for running back.
So I'm going to name just the top running back that you're going to play, the highest owned running back, and that's Jalen Samuel. I mean, this guy. All right, if you're Geoff, put down your drink. I have not seen this ownership on a running back for about it's been a while. He's supposed to be projected owned at 47%.
Wow.
So when I say 47%, this is usually when people I won't say his name, but he is the top player in the industry of DFS. These are his ownership projection. 47% is for GPP projection. It's not for cash game. This is GPP. So if you're playing cash game, you better just lock him in. Jalen Samuel against Indiana, $4,000 on DraftKings. I don't know what he's on FanDuel.
It's like $4,500.
Okay, so basically minimum price. So it doesn't even matter like the matchup, right? It's just the price. It's just going to allow you to save up so much. I don't know if Leonard has finally gotten healthy or what's going on with him. Is he finally healthy, the middle linebacker for the Colts? I believe he is.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm pretty sure I read that he was going to play.
Yeah, but so even though, and here's the thing, if you're a degenerate like us, the backup running back for the Steelers, but you would think of Benny Snell or what's his other name? Behind James Conner, it's Jalen Samuel, but it's Trey Edmond. I thought Trey Edmond was a linebacker for like another team. I was like, wait a minute, isn't this guy like played for like the Buccaneers or something?
I think his brother plays for the Bills. Yeah.
Yeah, for the Bills. Chase. I can't see that. Tim knows it, but yeah. I believe Jalen Samuel. I would not be shocked if he gets like 90% of the workload. I don't believe he'll get 100% because it's pretty hard with the Steelers always running the ball so much. You need a breather, and in this game, I think. They're projected for 20 points, which is not great, but I believe Jalen Samuel is the smash play. Just lock him in. GPP. Cash game. If you want to be contrarian, then you can do it and fade him. But I highly suggest that you don't because I remember 2 years ago, I think a lot of people were fading Bilal Powell when the starting running back was out. And he went off for 25 point, 30 point, and he was like on like 50%, like 40%, So like plays like this makes it easier to just make your roster so much better, so much easier to pay up for a guy like $10,000 like Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we're running along as usual, guys, so let's hurry up and get through these last couple picks here. Tim, we'll go to you. Who do you got for your top running backs this week?
Yeah, obviously you want at least one, if not both, of Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. I think that's pretty much how everybody's lineups are going to be, especially in cash. We talked last week that you want to be contrarian, just pay down at running back. I think there's definitely some good options there. They made a good point in the chat this week. My favorite kind of player under that right now is Aaron Jones. But if Devontae Adams does end up playing, I think that I'm probably going to end up going Nick Chubb above him. So I really like Nick Chubb there. And then the only other guy I had on my list here, since we're moving forward, obviously Jalen Samuels is on my list. He'll be my highest owned player overall, and that's going to be Derrick Henry. I am not usually a guy that you see play Derrick Henry, but I think this is one of those weeks that just kind of everything lines up for him to be a good play. I actually built a lineup earlier where I had Chubb, Cook, and Henry, and I really liked it. Obviously, like Gerson said, Jalen Samuels is going to be the highest projected player in your tournament. So it's always, if you want some leverage, find a way to pivot off of him. And so I think the best kind of mid-tier option there, if you're not going to go with the Jordan Howard revenge game narrative, is going to be Derrick Henry. So those are kind of my favorite plays outside of those top two guys.
Good stuff. People are actually going to play Jordan Howard?
Oh, yeah, I think people will absolutely play Jordan Howard.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll be highly owned, but I think he'll be popular just because he's in that 5,100 spot where he's like not quite pay down all the way, but still gets you some salary relief from some of the other guys.
All right, send your head-to-head to Jeff Lambert, 69. He'll play you.
All right, the only guy that I have on my list, actually I've got two guys I believe that I haven't mentioned yet. One of them sort of on the board between a mid-tier and a top tier. Mr. Le'Veon Bell, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of a squeaky wheel narrative. He actually had a sit-down with his coach, Adam Gase. He was pretty upset that he only got 12 touches last week, so I think that they're going to feed him this week, get him all the touches that he can possibly get. So against that Miami defense, he's definitely going to have a breakout game here, I believe. So I think he's, 7.7 on DK, is that right?
Yep.
So he's quite a bit cheaper than the McCaffreys and the Dalvin Cooks, and he has similar upside. Not quite McCaffrey upside, but I think he's got some decent upside there if he gets that volume and finally can get that breakout game. The other guy I got is going to be like a deep sleeper value guy, and that's Mark Walton for the Dolphins. Of course, we all know Drake got traded. Ballage has been terrible. He can't catch. He fumbles. So I think Ballage has fallen down that depth chart. So now it's all Mark Walton. If the the Dolphins can keep the game somewhat close, which I think they probably can, I think Walton gets some good work there. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's looked pretty good in the last few games. So Walton would be a deep sleeper kind of guy, super cheap that you could probably put your lineups as well. Jason, let's go to you for the cash game running backs. Who you got for us?
If you don't have Jalen Samuels in your cash game lineup, please send me your head-to-heads. And send me everything. I don't care. Actually, even in GPPs, tomorrow I'm pretty sure I'm just going to go. I'm going to lock him in my GPPs and go 100%. 150, Jalen Samuel. I don't care. Live or die. 4,000, that's the cheapest you're going to get on this slate. My core group of running backs, you guys named most of them already, actually. So you're looking at Samuel, McCaffrey, and Aaron Jones. I think when people are going to pay up, they're probably thinking Samuels, McCaffrey, and Cook. But I want to go down to Aaron Jones. I believe that Aaron Jones they're using him more as a wide receiver, kind of like the Todd Gurley role. And yes, Jamal Williams is there, and yes, he might steal a touchdown here and there. But Aaron Jones is the dude. Yep. He is the guy right now. He's the Todd Gurley of the the Rams. So he's going to get the work, and I like him at 7,000. That's pretty cheap. And if he has 2 touchdown upside, I'll take that all day. I don't mind Dalvin Cook, but 9,500, that's a little too much for me. Why am I going to pay 9,500 and 10,000 for 2 running backs? I'd rather go down a little bit. I will not be playing Mark Walton in cash game. Please don't do that.
Yeah, definitely not.
The funny thing is, before the Jalen Samuels news broke, I think Walton would have been really popular.
Yeah.
It's just if Jalen Samuels available, it's just like, then why
Trumps
play
it.
him?
Yep, exactly.
If you want to know the truth, I was not going to play cash games at all this week. I was like, I'm not playing. I'm just playing GPPs. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to enjoy it. And then all of a sudden, like, Connor doubtful, and my brother Alex sent my brother the message, and my brother started crying because for season long it hurts him a lot. And I was like, okay, Jalen Samuels is playing. I will play cash games because I'll be honest. I'll give you guys full transparency here. Last week, I got my ass kicked in cash game. I don't know what happened, but for some reason I thought it was a great idea not to play Michael freaking Thomas and just play crappy wide receivers. And I thought it was just like pay up at running back, but I made that mistake. You live and learn. You move on. And I'm not going to make the mistake this week. I am not playing Mark Walton. I'm going to play Samuel. I'm going to play McCaffrey, and I'm going to go to Aaron Jones. And then I'll work around it. Derek Carr, boom. There you go, Geoff.
Yep, love it. I will say, I think Tim mentioned it, but it's kind of glossed over a little bit. I think you downgrade Aaron Jones a little bit if Devontae Adams plays. I think he sees some less targets in that offense, but I think he's still playable at that 7,000 range. I don't think he's priced up where he should be with the volume that he's getting in that offense. I think he's still a good play no matter what, but I think you downgrade him a little bit if Adams is out there. All right, guys.
You know what I love about Aaron Jones? That you guys remember when people were saying, "Oh, Jamal Williams back there now, so lower his projection or bring him down a little bit." He goes out and gets fucking 44 points.
Yep, good call. All right, let's get to the defenses. And to save time, we're just going to give one defense each. So, Gerson, give me your defense.
I think New England Patriots, just kidding, they're not on the slate. I wish they were. I think that obviously you're going to play the Bills defense. They're the number one defense on the whole slate. I have them projected for almost 12 points. So to give you an idea, the last team that I saw projected for 12 points were the New England Patriots defense. Against the Washington Redskins, they're saying they're going to start. They're not saying it, but they indicated that he's been practicing number one with the number one, starting roster.
They have announced it. Haskins is starting.
Yep.
Oh, Haskins is starting? Okay,
yep.
Then yeah, that's sad. But Bills defense with a rookie quarterback going to get pressured on the road at Bills. I mean that's asking for throwing them into the fire. Like they say. But they are the highest owned defense they're the third highest owned defense at 13%. But I'm gonna have a lot of Redskins a lot of Bills defense, not Redskins. Well, actually, the Redskins are. Never mind, I won't say anything. But yeah, Bills defense is my top defense, though.
All right, good stuff. Tim, let's go to you. What you got for your defense?
So I just want to make a little joke real quick. When we first did this sheet before we were gonna do the show on Thursday, the Haskins news had not come out yet. So I put on the sheet, play Bills with Haskins, and that was like my draft day moment. I don't know if any of you have seen that terrible movie Draft Day, but I do like the scene where he's like Vontae Mack no matter what. That's kind of how I feel about the Bills. I'm going to do everything I can to fit the Bills in. To me, it's you either pay all the way up or you pay all the way down. The only other defense I'm considering this week is going to be the Washington Redskins, and that's mainly just because they're 1,800. I mean, to get a $2,000 savings this week is really significant. That'll take you, basically help you pay for everything else that you want to pay for. Gerson made a great point. Obviously, the highest projected value and the highest ceiling defense is the Bills. But outside of maybe the Panthers, I don't think there's anybody else I'm interested in.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the Redskins as well at 1.8. I mean, their lowest point total this year, at least from what I can see on DraftKings, I can't go back all the way to week 1. So they had 5 against the Patriots. So you figure Patriots are a much better team than the Bills. If the Redskins can put up 5 points, that's already, you're hitting value there at 1.8. So the Bills obviously will give up some sacks. Josh Allen is prone to throw some turnovers. So, if as long as they don't give up 50 points, if they can keep them down, obviously it's going to be a windy game. It'll probably be a running game. It may be a sloppy game. So I think that the Redskins defense is definitely a good play there. And I like the Panthers as well. We mentioned them a little bit as well. They get that sack upside. I had them last week against my Niners, and my Niners just destroyed them, so they weren't a good play last week. But against, I think, the Titans this week, they definitely have a good chance to get some sacks and some turnovers, with Tannehill back there. So, Jason, have we mentioned your cash game defense already? If we have, I apologize, but who you got for your cash game defense?
Tim, we're going to have a talk about that movie, by the way. But I mean, I'm on the Redskins defense. The Bills defense, pretty much what you guys talked about. To me, I'm just trying to save money where I can, and I'm going to save money at the positions where I know are very random, and defense is one of them. So I'm going Redskins defense for 1,800. If you guys remember, a couple weeks ago we had the Jets defense at 1,500. They were looking like a great play until the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they lost 7 points, and they only got to 1 point. But 7 points at 1,500 would have been great. So I can honestly see that with the Redskins defense. And Josh Allen, he turns the ball over. He's a guaranteed 2 interceptions here and there. He might fumble the ball. And the Redskins defense isn't that bad. They can get sacks. So yeah, I mean, they made Jimmy G look bad a couple weeks ago. So yeah.
I always say that when defenses know that they're starting a rookie quarterback, then they know they have to step up. I don't know if they actually can step up, if they have the personnel to do it. But at 1,800, man, that's hella tempting.
Yep. And in the chat was mentioned. The chat mentioned the Browns. I think they're also viable. They got the. I think no one even knew his name, Brandon Allen, before he got the starting job there. So the Browns versus the Broncos is definitely another play that you could consider as well, but only in tournaments. I think the play would be the Bills or the Redskins, and I think it will be your highest owned guys this week. All right, guys, let's do our stacks.
And now the stacks of the week.
All right, let's go to you first, Tim. What you got for your stack of the week?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in the show, and it's probably going to be my favorite stack this week, and it's going to be Phillip Rivers, Mike Williams, and as of right now, I'm bringing it back with Aaron Jones. That very well may pivot to Devontae Adams, but that's going to be my favorite stack as of now, and it's cheap. At least the first two guys are, and then you can kind of decide what you want with that third guy. That's who I have right now.
All right, Gerson, let's go to you. What you got for your stack of the week?
Well, I'm going with the Shark, man. I'm going with Winston, Evan, Godwin, and Metcalf. I'm trying to lock that in and then get my running backs like the ones we've been talking about, like Samuel. There's no way I'm going to be able to fit CMC in there.
Yeah,
so
good
it'll
luck.
be like Aaron Jones, maybe like Nick Chubb or someone cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Jason, do you have a stack? I know you don't stack much in cash, but I didn't know if you had one ready for us.
We don't have a stack. I don't stack in cash at all, but I do have a stack. I like Rodgers. We're gonna stack that game. We're gonna go Rodgers, Jones, Adams, and Williams. Aaron Jones, that is. So I want to get all the touchdowns, and so I know there's gonna be Rodgers and Jones, and then bring it back with Mike Williams. So that's my stack.
All right, I love it. All right, I got two stacks from the same game. I'm just going to give both of them really quick. They're kind of similar stacks, just depending on what side you want to go. The expensive version of this stack is going to be Stafford, Galladay, and Waller. Obviously, a tournament stack because you're not going to play Waller in your cash. He's just too expensive, but I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, and you want some exposure to that game. And then on the opposite end of that will be the cheaper version of that will be Derek Carr, Tyrell Williams, and Galladay still. I think you can still fit him in your lineups. So that game is going to be very high scoring. I think that's one of the games I'm going to be stacking the most of. All right, sick call.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, Gerson, we'll go to you first for your sick call. I know I kind of alluded to it earlier. I had him as my value receiver, but I took him off so you can have him as your sick call. So go ahead and mention who you got.
Hey, Geoff, you're acting like you're giving me a Christmas present here. You better send me one on Christmas, you punk. Anthony Miller, Chicago Bears wide receiver. This guy was actually hyped up to be a very good sleeper season-long wide receiver, right? Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I like Anthony Miller." I mean, at least I was. Last year he had like 8 touchdowns and like 600 yards, and like he was doing pretty good. But this year he came out and he got hurt like right at the beginning of the season. But now he's kind of turning the point. But I mean, 3,700, man. I believe, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
3,700, saving a lot of money right there. If you get save a lot of money with Miller at 3,700 in a great matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, you're gonna be allowed to pay up for CMC. You're gonna be, man. Well, you're not gonna fade Jalen Samuel. I'm telling you that right now. So you're gonna pay up elsewhere, like at the quarterback position, tight end position, maybe get Darren Waller in there. In this game, and like we've been saying, dude, I'm telling you guys, Trubisky's gonna go off in this game. I can just feel it already, and I'm not gonna be shocked. But the last 3 games, 3,700, 9 point, 10 point, 9 point. That's median value for GPP, 3 times value. Obviously, we're looking for more. I always try to look for 4 times value, if like a lower price wide receiver like that, But I've been doing pretty good on my sick calls this year, so yeah. Whatever, take it how you want. But 3 for 3, 67 yards. That's all I need.
Yep.
For this guy.
Good stuff. Love it. All right, Tim, what you got for your sick call?
My sick call this week is Ryan Fitzmagic. I think, yeah, that is correct. I think that this sets up as one of those games where he can do what he does, man. He's 4,800, so you're only getting a savings of $300 over somebody like Phillip Rivers or Mitch Trubisky. But I think that he's going to go at least 4 times value this week, and you can set up some really cheap stacks there, game stacks. I didn't want to give it away in our stack section, But I also really like the Fitzmagic stack. You can either get him with Preston Williams, which Gerson mentioned earlier. I also like the shell of Devontae Parker. You could run either one of those guys and then bring it back with the call I mentioned earlier, Robbie Anderson. So all three of those guys, you can get that stack together for about $15K, and that leaves you on DraftKings with about $35,000 for the rest of your lineup. You spend, $19,000 on Cook and McCaffrey, then you still have a decent amount of guys that fit in with wide receivers. So I probably won't have a lot, but you best believe I'll have at least one Fitzmagic stack this weekend in the Millie Maker.
All right. I love it. Jason.
You heard it here first. Trubisky and Fitzmagic for all the money.
Yes, that's right. That's right. All the money.
All right. Jason, you got a sick call for us this week?
Yeah, I actually have a 6 stack. How about that? I have a 6 stack. Here we go. You're going to go Trubisky, Robinson, Miller, and Jeffrey. Take it and go. It's going to happen. 6 touchdowns. Here it comes.
All right. Love it. All right. My sick call is actually going to be a running back from that Buffalo Redskins game, Mr. Devin Singletary. If you look at just the counting stats, the attempts and the catches, they look very similar. It's like Frank Gore and Singletary are playing about 50-50. Look at snap count. Frank Gore only played 18 snaps last week compared to Devin Singletary's 42 snaps. I know they were down in that game, so Singletary may have gotten some more work because of that. I actually listened to the condensed version of this game to see if it was Singletary getting a lot of the snaps, and he was in there for a lot of the plays early in the game as well. So I think Singletary, if he's going to play that many snaps, I think ends up being like 68% compared to Gore was like 20-something%. Against his Redskins defense, you got to love that. I mean, he gets the touches out of the backfield. He carries the ball quite a bit. He had 15 points last week on only 7 touches. So please give this guy some more touches. He's more efficient than Gore. He's younger than Gore. He's more exciting than Gore. The Redskins defense is terrible. So please, Devin Singletary this week. Give me some love for some Devin Singletary.
Free Singletary.
Free Singletary, exactly.
Hey, Geoff.
What's up?
What do you and Frank Gore have in common?
That we're old?
I mean,
I didn't say it.
You didn't say it. Jeff is
the hardest in San Francisco, but they live on the East Coast.
There you go. There you go. Tim
Okay.
going with the contrarian call right there. I love it. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Let's go ahead and just go around the room here. Tell us where we can find you at. I'm sure most of us know by now where we can find everybody, but let's just do it anyway. Tim, go to you first.
Yes, sir. Find me on Twitter at KetoDFS, and as always, find me in the DFS Roundtable /Fantasy G podcast group on Facebook.
All right, Jason, I know we can find you at the DFS Roundtable as well, but tell everybody what you do on Sundays when you get a chance. You give out your cash game plays?
On Sundays, I like to give out my cash game plays, and then I also like to we do it on the DFS chat roll. We give out news. We kind of talk about breaking news. I disappear the last 45 minutes still. I have my own stuff to do, so yeah. But right now, actually, what you can find on the DFS Roundtable page, Fantasy G podcast, is we actually have a voting system right now of the top plays of the slate. I know some of you guys have been struggling to add certain players to it, but if you want to know what the slate's going to look like and what other people are going to play, you kind of look at that and you kind of get a good feel for the slate.
All right, great stuff there. All right, Gerson, let's go to you. Where can we find you at? And, obviously, what do you do on Sundays for us on the DFS Roundtable?
Well, on Sunday I don't do anything because I'm putting 150 rosters in. But, I usually do, like today, I usually do a GPP play out list, but it just this week been very hectic with work and whatnot. I've told people, but I've been busy lately. But you can find me on a DFS Roundtable /Fantasy G podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at the Fantasy G Pod, but mainly I'm always on the Facebook page. I'm not a big Twitter guy like Geoff. I'm not popular like him. But if you want to add me, feel free to.
All right, guys. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. You can find me here every Tuesday and Friday night. Find me at GoingFor2.com. I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm in all those Facebook groups as well. So definitely, guys, great show. Thanks for tuning in on a late Saturday night. I appreciate it. That's a wrap.
Good stuff.
Discount double check.